with Arnold Dean. Hot talk, great guests. Weeknights at 6:15 from WTIC, Hartford.
BBC Radio, Canada's public broadcast.
Try Carter's Little Liver Pill. Good advice.
Good mornings only on KCMO Kansas City. It's 8 o'clock.
When you're tuned to CDS Radio.
This is the DX Central from the Static Podcast.
From Studio B of the North Shore Studios in Mandeville, Louisiana.
And welcome to another edition of the From the Static Podcast. I'm your host, Loyd Van Horn, here in the North Shore Studios in Studio B. We bring you another episode of DX Central Re-Live, our audio-only portion of our DX Central live stream from Friday night. You can catch it at dxcentrallive.com or directly on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@DXCentral. For this episode, we have a couple things to talk about. We actually unveil our brand new data analysis page for the Medium Wave Frequency Challenge, taking all of the collective logs. Over 32,000 logs have been submitted since 2021 in our Medium Wave Frequency Challenge challenges. And so we have this data available to you now on our DX Challenge website. So we talk about how to get there and some of the information that's at your disposal. We also talk about our brand new low noise vertical antenna and do a little demonstration of its power. This is a fantastic antenna. I've been playing with it even more since the show ended on Friday night. And man, I tell you what, it is a fantastic antenna. So definitely one that you're going to want to pay attention to that. We're actually working on a video right now about the antenna, and we're going to hopefully have that out here very, very soon. We also talk a bit about some of the other antenna work we're going to be doing here this weekend, including our switch over to twisted pair 100 ohm feed line for our big Latin American CAS antenna on our shortwave Central Kiwi. And so we're switching out from our 50 ohm coax to twisted pair 100 ohm and some of the things we're doing with that. So we'll talk a bit about that. We also talk a bit about our targets for the upcoming new challenge we just released. 1470, 1480 our challenge frequencies for this week. So we talk about some target stations for those. And a little bit of a tip from the Slack channel is something that you can listen to hopefully get you a chance at a new station from the Dominican Republic. You're going to want to stick around for that. It's towards the end of the show, but you're definitely going to want to stick around for that because it's a very, very unique signal that or sound actually that they have on their station. And so we'll tell you when and where to listen for it and what to listen for as we get into the show. So lots of shout outs in this one as well. Tons of shout outs, actually. So sit back, relax, take us with you on the go wherever you might be. It's time for Season 6, Episode 8 of DX Central Re-Live here on the From the Static Podcast.
From the Gulf South
to your corner of the world,
this is DX Central Live.
Now here's your host, Loyd Van Horn.
From the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana, and Studio A is where you find us every Friday night for DX Central Live, Season 6, Episode number 8, my friends. Hope you had a very happy Thanksgiving and are still stuffed. Hopefully not just with food. I hope you're stuffed with DX as well. Hopefully you've had a chance to hit the dials, sneak in a little bit of time between football games and slices of pie and time with the fam. Sneak into the shack. I need to go check my computer real quick. Who you got on 580 to 600? We're going to be saying goodbye to those frequencies this week, and a whole new frequency range awaits us in our end of our first hour. But man, we got some good stuff to talk about tonight. I got a new antenna. I have that new antenna glow, don't I? I got that new antenna glow. We got the low noise vertical up in the air this last weekend, and last night put the common mode choke on there to try to corral some of the noise. There was a little bit of noise on there, not a lot. We do have some generated noise in the area, and that's going to be, good luck getting rid of generated noise, right? There's a difference between like common mode noise that's just kind of there, and then generated noise from like dimmers and buzzers and electric companies that have to have problems with their ground wires on their electric poles and things like that. I just realized my light wasn't on. So there's a difference between that, and so we do have a little bit of that generated noise that we have to deal with. But I think overall, this vertical has been very nice. So we're gonna demonstrate that tonight. Give you guys a chance to hear some of the signals on there and compare it to like the mini whip. And then we'll also talk a little bit about what we did, kind of putting everything together, including I got to play Alchemist this week. The chemical ground, a copper pipe driven into the ground with some holes in it and some salt and some water to turn nasty Gulf Coast sand into an actual working ground. So we're going to talk a bit about that. We're also going to talk a bit about some other work we're doing this weekend on antennas. I think I see in the chat our good buddy Mr. Jeff. Notorious. You're going to be happy to see this, Jeff. You know what that is. I got this because of your recommendation. We got some twisted pair here, and this is actually going to go not on the vertical. I was going to put this on the vertical, but we're actually going to put this on the Kiwi CAS, our big CAS antenna, our elevated CAS, shortwave central Latin American magnet CAS. So we're going to talk a bit about that this hour and what we're going to be doing, how we're going to be doing that. We're also putting up a mini whip at Mom's house this weekend. I had a spare one, so we're going to talk a bit about that. We're going to be releasing our all-season data analysis. Buried the lead there a little bit. We're going to be unleashing the beast to all of you. So if you've ever been sitting there and you're wondering, what stations should I be targeting from Guatemala or from Honduras, or what stations are good on this particular frequency, or what stations can be heard from North Dakota? Things like that. Our all-season analysis takes all of the logs that have been submitted to the Medium Wave Frequency Challenge since 2021, since fall of 2021 when we started this thing. And all of the frequency challenges we've done, and we've gone through every frequency twice and then some in some cases. And so taking all of that data and compiling it so that you guys can then use that to source data to help you fill your logbook. So we're going to walk through that tonight. Our patrons, our folks who are on patreon.com/DXCentral, they've been playing around with this now for about a week. So we're going to unleash it tonight. And you've already got a sneak peek of kind of the format with our new weekly challenge dashboard that we have. But this is going to be way more intense. So you have a chance to play around with that starting tonight. So we'll walk you through that, what that looks like. We're also going to talk a bit about some targets for our new frequency challenge frequencies. And also we're going to be doing a little preview of some logbook work that I'm doing on my logbook. This is kind of an ever-evolving thing. The Loyd Van Horn medium wave logbook, or FM logbook, kind of an evolving thing, and here's going to be the latest iteration. Following suit with our new dashboard that we have, I'm kind of putting my logbook into that format, so I'm going to show you some of that. We also have a station down in the Caribbean that a lot of you guys have been hearing, so we're going to play a little clip that you've been sharing in the Slack. We're going to play a little clip about that so you know what to listen for, because I think a lot of our East Coast folks, even those up further north, I think you've got a shot at this station. I've been trying all week. I haven't heard them yet, but I think our East Coast folks have a good shot, so we're going to play you that clip a little bit later on so you can hear Radio Santa Maria. But first, let's get to some live DX, shall we? This live DX session brought to you by International Radio Club of America, IRCAonline.org. That's the website for more information. Now, I haven't had a chance to update the verbiage up here at the top about the antenna that we're on. This is actually the DX Central Kiwi, and we're on the vertical. Now, you can kind of see it here on our antenna switch. This is the low noise 35-foot vertical. So it's a 35-foot piece of 14-gauge stranded THHN wire, and it's up in a tree. The top of it's clipped up into a carabiner up in the tree. The bottom of it is wrapped around a electric fence post, and then we've got which is kind of hammered in the ground, and then we've got a V3A amplifier, high Z amplifier, to pull that in, connect that to the ground, the chemical ground that we have. And that's what we're going to be working off of here. So let's go ahead and take a look at 580 on the vertical. going back through and reading your chats.
DX Central Live top of the hour alert.
Is to announce the good news of Jesus Christ to the world, to bring hope through the knowledge of His mercy, forgiveness, and love. You can help us through your prayers and monthly donation by going to RadioMaria.com. Radio Maria, print live website at radiomaria.us. Radio Maria Playa, 5 p.m. January 1460 a.m.
Hey, Mamacita.
Paid the penalty for my sins and your sins. And so that those sins have been forgiven. Then there are those that...
All right, so conditions actually seem pretty decent right now. We had 580, we had KJMJ Radio Maria here in Louisiana, and then 590, I've got Cuba in there, and there's also Sabrosita out of Mexico, XEPH. 600, we have WVOG, our local here in New Orleans, and I think also at least one other station, probably KTBB or something like that. But there's possibly also Nicaragua in there. I heard some Spanish, which is usually on 600 for us. Under our local, it's usually Nicaragua. So already looking like a pretty decent night on the bands here. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we got more DX heading your way. We got to talk about our new antennas. We got to talk about the new data analysis project that we've been working on for AM and giving you guys a chance to comb through the data and help you fill your logbook. So don't go anywhere, my friends. More DX Central Live is heading your way right after this.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
Sunlight, lost in the static and the noise. No signals, no choice. when the DX can't be found. Radio's off, hit the ground. No wires can keep me down. When the signals can't be found. Chill waves rolling free. Just the sky you need.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Loyd Van Horn.
No stress.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. Every Friday night we bring you live DX conversation, and a whole lot more. So we've got a lot to get to, especially in this first hour here. So I want to make sure we have a chance to get to your shout outs because we got a bunch of those. We're actually going to start with that first. And then we're going to get to our first conversation, which is going to be about, I want to start with the data analysis project. And then from there, we'll move on to the antenna. We'll get to the fun stuff afterwards. But first, we got to make sure we do our homework, so to speak. So let's go ahead and get to some shout outs. What do you say?
Shout out loud, hear the call for every single big or small. From AM to FM, from C to C. We celebrate the ones who snag the IP. Shout out loud, let it be known. You're never DXing all alone. Through the static we found our way. Shout outs making waves today.
All right. We've got quite a few. You guys have been having some good DX. I don't know if you were taking some time off for the holiday or the conditions have been that good, but there's a lot of shout outs in here. So we're going to go ahead and get right to it. Starting with our friend Chuck in Virginia, Chuck Ripple. He said, got a new continental U.S. distance record going west from the Virginia coast. Heard KRMG Tulsa. Null zoomer there on 740 with the Wellbrook 1530 and the TV rotor. And deep in that null was KRMG 1,117 miles, and we even have a clip. Here we go.
KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk. Tulsa's KRMG news. Start.
There you go. That's 1,117 miles from the Virginia coast all the way to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well done, my friends. We get you that new log here, my friend. And that's also a new state for Chuck, too, with Oklahoma coming in. All right. And obviously, there's a new milestone for him with that record of the distance record out west. So we're going to also hit him up. Get that milestone action going on. Go. All right, man. Well done, Chuck. Always good to see you in the shout outs there. Moving to our next one, we got Dan Massey in Texas. Dan said he added the new Mexican state. His Mexican state number 13, Durango. It's actually what I need from here, actually. One of my 4 left, I think I have. Durango's one of them. 590 XEE. I tried all week to get these guys. With 1,000 watts at 352 UTC using his Airspy HF Plus Discovery and the W6 LVP loop. That's a powerful combination. That also makes number 60 in the log from the country of Mexico. So that's a new Mexican state. So we're going to start off with a little bit of that action going on. I mean, and also obviously the new log for him there as well. Well done, Dan. Yeah, Durango is one of my needs from Mexico. So I tried them all week. Never got through Sabrosita. XEPH was a XEP in the butt, but we'll keep trying. I've been doing the corny jokes all day today, so just stand by. It's going to be coming. You're going to get a lot more of that. Rick in Iowa, normally Omaha, but he's been doing some vacationing and some tripping and some time in Iowa. Hello, Loyd. Picking up where I left off last Friday, got 5 more new catches, all graveyarders from the Dow family farm west of Oakland, Iowa, last Friday and Saturday evening. In chronological order, KOKL 1240 in Oklahoma, WMSO 1240 in South Haven, Mississippi for a new state on the graveyard frequencies from Oakland. Nice. KNEM 1240 Nevada. I'm sorry. I got to the pronunciation after I just made an assumption. Nevada, Missouri. Thank you for the pronunciation guide, though. You know that's like a thing for me. WRLL 1450 Chicago and WRJN 1400 in Racine, Wisconsin. Overall, got 18 new logs on AM during my 6 nights at the Dow Farm, with 14 of those being graveyards, 3 new states, North Dakota, Louisiana, and Mississippi, all on the graveyard frequencies. A very productive week, I should say so. And let's see, I'm going down my checklist here. We've got a couple things we got to get here for you. We've got to start off with this guy. And then, let's see, a new U.S. state for them. So we're going to hit that up. I know it's at the graveyards, but it's a new U.S. I mean, those of us who do track graveyard stats, a new state on graveyard is a big deal. And let's see, obviously the new log in there as well. So there we go. There you go, my friend. Well done, Rick. And hopefully all the family stuff is good for you, and you are safe in your head, your travels back to Nebraska. Let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wow, we are bumping with shout outs tonight. So we're going to keep this rig rolling for a few minutes. Keeping an eye on the time, though, for our top peaks. Greg Caniglio up in New York sends his shout outs in. Recordings from earlier in November still being reviewed, right? There were quite a few loggings on November 9th, but I will highlight one frequency, 1400 kilohertz, where 2 new graveyard loggings were had on the 5 p.m. recording. WVRC in Spencer, Virginia, 347 miles. WJMX, Darlington, South Carolina, 618 miles. However, November 14th at 2 a.m. has provided me some great loggings again, thanks to help from the medium wave DX slackers, MWDX slack attack. You all helped me log LRA 1870 from Buenos Aires, Argentina, with their 5+1 time pips underneath WWL for a distance of 5,498 miles. My man, that is awesome, man. Yeah, I figured it was probably who that was, right? There are some other Colombians and whatnot that do 5+1, but on 870, it's Argentina. My distance record in new country, interestingly enough, according to FM Scan, this is the most distance on 870 for him in the entire world. So he cannot get any further on that frequency than what he just did. I'm not sure of another frequency where I have a chance at logging the most distant signal, but there you go. Thanks also to Mexico Mike J for helping me to snag 1080 HCKD2 in Ecuador, Radio Universal at 3,134 miles. My third from that country. Thank you again, everyone. More listening to do from 1114 as well still. So, yeah, man, that is freaking awesome. I remember a time when Ecuador was like one station, if you were lucky. People would hear the one Ecuadorian. Now you guys are out there getting 3 and 4 and 5 or more Ecuadorians. I remember when I heard my first one, I was like, oh my God, I heard Ecuador. Now I got like, I think, 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever it is. But it's interesting to me how we have evolved as a DX community, where for a long time, there was like this one group of people that were getting like really rare DX, and you'd see them. They do these DX expeditions, and they get like the Ecuadors and deep into Colombia, and they get the Argentinas and all this other kind of stuff. And then the rest of us were all sitting there. And we were like, had a new one from Tennessee this week. Yeah. If you're lucky, hey, I got a new Cuban, right? And so, not that those aren't exciting catches, but that was about the limit of our exoticness back in the 90s for a lot of us. And now, because of SDR technology, and now because a lot of us are starting to adopt these more, I'll call them aggressive antennas with like the terminated loops and things like that, bogs, things along those lines, we're seeing more and more people in that first group. That group getting the exotic stuff, and it makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. So let's see, we've got a new country for you to hit, so we're going to stamp that passport real quick. Argentina. There you go. Yeah, Rick says the guys on the West Coast get Japan, Australia, China all the time on AM, right? Yeah, I mean, if you're one of those geographically advantageous places like Newfoundland or Cape Cod, right? You're going to get your share of international DX, especially European. There was more back in the day than what there is now, but even the Latin American stuff, this Pan American stuff down in the Caribbean and Central America and South America. I feel like more people are in that now than we have ever had. And that makes me so happy. I remember when like Peru was like, whoa, you heard Peru. Wow, that's amazing. Because I mean, I would sit and see people hearing that. I was like, how? And it was always the same people. And now more and more people are hearing Peru and Ecuador and like not just one or two, but like multiple ones. So it's freaking awesome, man. Hit that Latin American stuff in there too. And we're going to hit that log in here for him as well. There you go. All right. Good job, Greg. Our friend Stuart's in the chat, and he's on the shout out here as well. We got some new logs for Stuart. Caught a few news stations this past week during some off-season tropo this past Saturday night and Monday morning. Yeah. Some new stations logged include Magic 95.9 WYNT in Ohio, 117 miles. K-Love 99.3 WVLO in Ohio, 113 miles. B100 100.7 WBYT in Indiana, 134 miles. And also in Indiana, 104.7 WFRN radio in about 123 miles over a semi-local form as well. Real Country 106.7 WFGA in Ohio, 83 miles, mixing with a local. Always nice when you get those locals getting knocked out by the tropo. Country 93.7 CKYC in Owen Sound, Ontario, 208 miles. On the NOAA Weather Radio side, got some stuff as well from the tropo. New station KXI86 on the .5 in Crescent City, Illinois, at 239 miles. His first portable catch. VXJ76 on the .55 in Champaign. Hey, here and down in Sean's neck of the woods. 279 miles, mixing with a local. First time I received WXJ76 was my base station back in June 20th when my local KEC 63 was off the air. And last week, I achieved my goal of logging them while having to go through the barrier of my local station. Also, some new gear received, a Airspy R2 SDR. Really enjoying it. I definitely can't wait to try out some 10 megahertz IQ recording with GQRX and any winter e-skip I may receive next month. Awesome. So we got the new log counter in here for you, my friend. And got the goal achieved in here. He had set a goal for himself, and he went and got it. And those goals are able to be set when you do that logbook analysis and you're looking at your log and you're saying, I haven't gotten that area right there yet. Okay, there we go. Well done, my friend. We'll do one more here, and then we're going to put the rest on to hour number 2. We got Tim Trump in here from Michigan, the DX magnet himself, checking in with a shout out. Thursday night started out just like any other DX session where I began with 870 and look for my 3 target South American stations from Ecuador, Colombia, and Argentina. See, there's your difference. He's looking for Ecuador, Colombia, and Argentina as like his beacons, where I'm looking at like, all right, how's Cuba coming in? How's Colombia? Like Colombia is like my like, okay, if I got some good Colombians coming in, I know it's going to be a good night. He's like, Colombia and Ecuador, how's Argentina? If these stations are in, then it's a good indicator for deep southern propagation. Instead, I heard a high-pitched whistle in the upper sideband of 870 on my southeast DCAS. Turned out to be a 9 kilohertz transatlantic carrier on 873 kilohertz. With conditions still unsettled from the recent geomagnetic activity, TAs were the furthest thing from my mind. Donning around the band, I soon discovered many more TAs coming in on the 9 kilohertz splits, but they weren't on the common TA frequencies, except for a signal on 1089 kilohertz, which was producing weak audio. I assume that was probably just TalkSport from the UK, one of the most common TAs here, but no, this was different. The station was playing very distinct Middle Eastern music. Checking other TA frequencies revealed something very unique was happening. I had stumbled on a very rare pipeline to Iran. Several frequencies had weak Middle Eastern music and Quran recitals, and none of these were on the common TA frequencies. Instead, they were predominantly Iranian frequencies, all revealing signals ranging from weak carriers at known offsets to a few producing audio like 1089 and 1188, and undoubtedly others as I began to deep dive into the SDR recordings. 1188 Radio Payam from I hope I'm saying these right. Payam from Tehran. I'm gonna get it out. Was confirmed at 0030 UTC with 3 ascending musical chimes unique to Iran's top of the hour, which is offset 30 minutes from the Western world. The same chimes were later verified against Radio Payam's web stream. Iran number 2 is now in the books, and it seems like more will follow as the recordings are further dissected in the coming days. Shout outs to Barry Bankston and Mark Pettifor on Slack, who also got in on this exciting action. Son, I told you he's a DX magnet. I'm telling you, this guy is... There you go. I mean, that's the stuff right there. I saw mention getting a loud tone on 890 WLS. That's Algeria, more than likely. 891 in Algeria. I've heard them here with audio here in New Orleans area. So that's probably who that is, more than likely. Big signal when they're in. Well done, Tim, as always, man. Leading the way and leading the charge as far as the stuff coming in. So glad to have you in there. Stephanie, Aiden, Charles Williams, Barry Bankston, David, Pete in Maine, Kaz, and Mexico Mike J. You guys are all up here in hour number 2 when we get to your shout outs here. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll get to your shout outs here in a bit. I did want to go ahead and let's take a look here at our brand new DX challenges. Let's see. This is our new DX challenges data analysis. I'll think of it what I gotta say here in a second. Here we go. So just go to dxchallenges.com like you always do for the shout outs or to do the entries into the weekly challenges. And what you're looking for is up here at the tip top, you'll have an area called resources, and click on that resources button right there. And I'm going to add it to the drop down menu. I just haven't had a chance to do that because it just went live like right before the stream. So once you're on the resources page, again, just click on resources. Again, dxchallenges.com. You'll see a couple things. We've got our unique sounds of Latin America, our anthems of Latin America. So if you're hearing something and you want to compare to our recordings that we have here, we got a special place for those. We got our Kiwis right here, so you can use those to parallel up against. Since we get pretty good down in Latin America quite a bit, you can use ours to kind of see what you're hearing. And then we have these 2 areas coming soon, some research tools and links, but this is the big one right here. This is the medium wave frequency challenge all season analysis. So we're going to click on that. You guys ready? So this is something that when I first started doing the frequency challenge, there were two things that I wanted to kind of do here. One was give people an opportunity to all DX the same frequencies at the same time, so we could all do that exercise like we were doing back in 2021, 2020, when WFME went off the air. We all were DXing the same frequency at the same time and comparing notes on social media. It was freaking awesome. So I wanted to do that. But then the other piece was this. It was, okay, once we get enough data gathered, that's going to be a really good resource to be able to kind of mine through and see where DX gets out to. What kind of stuff are people hearing? You know, if you're located near a DXer, what are they hearing that maybe you can try to hear? What are they using for gear? Things like that. So I wanted to kind of gather all this data up and make it available to DXers. And so that is what this is. This is our medium wave frequency challenge data analysis, all season analysis project. So everything from 2021 through current day. Now, when the week closes out is when I add the current week stuff. So tonight I'll be adding the 580 to 600 data to the list, to the project here. Next week we'll add the next frequency challenge, but right now it's up through the 910 to 930 that we just ended last week. You're going to see on the right-hand side a menu of all the different pages here. So we've got general stats, which is our main page we're on right now. A DX heat map, which we'll show you here in a minute. DXer stats, season stats, so breaking down by season or station rather. U.S. state stats, country stats, Canadian, Mexican stats, DX stats, so some interesting DX stuff. Breakdowns by frequency, just graveyard stats, distance stats. This is the seasonal one, which is still kind of in progress right now. I'm just starting to build this out. And then the air check auto logger, which is an audio locker rather, which is another thing we're building out right now, where you guys are submitting audio air checks of stuff that you're hearing, and we're going to be putting these into a on our page here to make available for you guys to listen to audio clips. So you'll see here what we have, basically just like you've been experiencing on our weekly challenge page this week. You've got your filters up here at the top, by name, by station, by frequency, by state or province, country, and then notes. So like I was using this week to find a La Mejor on 590. I was like, that's Mexico, right? And I use it to confirm that. 32,347 logs submitted. Again, that's through last week. 4,500 unique stations, 164 DXers, a little over 7,000 mile furthest reception, 74 countries, 52 states, including DC. I got to double check that. I think we might have one that's a little off there. And then here is the actual data. So all of these little charts that you see, just like with our weekly challenge, you can download, you can export them out. As you see here, I can export this out into a CSV, an Excel CSV, or Google Sheets. So I can go in here and I can completely export out everything if I wanted to really kind of dive in that way. Although you're going to find this is going to be more than enough to satisfy most of what you need. But if you, let's say, like Dennis a couple years ago, Dennis, our friend Dennis Bannister in Virginia, lost all of his logs. His logbook went away. So I was able to give him back all the logs that he had submitted to the frequency challenge. So if that was to happen again, he could just come in here and he could export this out. And here's every log that Dennis has reported. So he have access to all of that. Let's go ahead and go to the heat map here, because I think that's everything on this page. The heat map. This is cool. I really like this. And again, you can filter by station, by frequency, by country, by state. You have a year, season, radio, and antenna filter here as well. Every one of these dots you see is a DXer location. Okay, so these are this is not station locations. These are DXer locations. So this tells you where DX is being reported from. So how does this work? So let's just say I'm Stephanie and I want to know, where is South Dakota being reported from? Oops, I did the wrong one. Sorry, everyone. Where is South Dakota being reported from? Well, we've got a log from out here in Arizona. Mesa, Arizona has 8 logs from South Dakota. So that's promising, Stephanie. That should hopefully give you some hope. We got some Illinois in here. We got some middle of the country, as you would expect. A lot of stuff up here. Not a whole lot down here in the South, as you would imagine. We don't hear South Dakota too often. Now, again, this is just off of stuff reported during our challenges. So there's probably people, obviously there's people hearing South Dakota in a much wider canvas here than what you see on this map. But it's just based off of what's been submitted to the challenge, which is the only data I have available that I can make available to you guys. I can't tabulate everybody's logs from everywhere, all the different social media logs and Slack and the clubs and everything else. I need one place to do it, and this is it. This is the challenge. So this would be how I could then take that in and say, okay, great. I've got these places that are hearing South Dakota. Then you could take that a step further. And let's say you wanted to go look at a specific kind of radio or specific kind of antenna to see who is hearing off of those filters. Or let's say I wanted to go in and I have a specific target that I'm looking for to be NAX. And I want to see where is to be NAX being heard from. There it is, right? So I can go in here and I can get very, very granular this way about what it is I'm looking for. So if I'm wanting to research a particular station, or like let's say here we have our 590 frequency from this week, where are some good places to hear stuff on 590. You can kind of see that here. So just a really cool way to visually see where the DX is being heard from. Okay. DXer stats. This breaks down the stats by DXer. Okay. So you'll see our top dog, Barry, 3,800 total logs here for Barry has been submitted. Now, this also, I want to make sure you guys know too, this also includes our Summer of DX Challenge stuff that we also do. So that's also included in this data. Both the 2024 and 2025 Summer of DX Challenge stuff is included in this data. So this is everything that we've collected since 2021, all in one place. Okay. So you can kind of see the breakdown here. So let's say you want to go in and you want to see where you might stand. You can also go over here and let's say I want to type in my name. And here's a DXer name filter right here. So there's me. There's my furthest reception. And then I'm going to be able to see the breakdown here. Here's the map that shows all the different states. I've logged 37 states in the challenge so far. Most of it's down here, as you can kind of see. But you can also check out where else I've heard during the challenge frequencies, or the frequency challenges. Here's the overall. And any of these filters, when you type in a value like that, if you hit and go clear it out and then hit return, it'll reset that filter back to everything. So there you go. These are all the states that have been heard. And if you hover over a state, you'll get the count, the log count. Heard states by DXer. So who's heard the most? Well, it is Jacob. He's heard 45 U.S. states in our challenges. Unbelievable. And you can, again, break this down by season, by week, by year, by DXer. Here's the DXer value. And when you do this filter, it does everything on that page. So if I go over here and I type in Loyd, I've got my stuff here. I've got my logs here. All the rest of the stuff gets filtered by my name. So pretty cool how it kind of filters all that at once. DXer logs by country. So 74 countries have been heard. And then we're going to go over here. We're going to go to, let's look at Jacob. He's heard 15 countries, and you can see where all of those are. There's Argentina, San Andres and Providencia, Venezuela. There's also Colombia's in there too. Ecuador, U.S., obviously, Mexico, some stuff in the Caribbean. So he's got quite a bit that he has submitted for the frequency challenge. And then you can see the heard countries by DXer, who's heard the most countries, and where are the furthest receptions from those for that person. You can kind of see how that breaks down here. That's all for the country one, or the DXer stats. Station stats looks at individual unique stations. So I can tell you the most logged station in 5 years so far has been WLW 700 at 109 total logs. The furthest reception of it was 2,017 miles away. And again, you've got your filters up here. And so you can go in here and you can filter this out to say, I want to see who all has heard, how many people have heard WWL, my local here in New Orleans. I can type that in, and there it is. There's WWL 870, 94 logs. The furthest one was 2,100 miles away. Also, I took our friend Mesa Mike in Virginia, took his data from his website, and I merged that with our data, and I was able to find unreported stations. So we have 920 unreported stations as of our last count, and that we have not had logged in our challenges. So there are still 920 U.S. stations out there that you guys haven't heard yet. And here is that list. So you can find it by call, by freak, by state. So you can come over here and say, do we have anything unreported on 590? Yes, here they are. These are the stations on 590 that nobody has submitted so far for the frequency challenge. So when we have a new challenge put in, if you want to help us cross one of these off the list, there you go. You can also, again, filter by call and state as well. And then what's the most heard station in each state? So you can see here, the most heard station from Alabama is WEUP on 1700. 39 total logs, 21 unique DXers have reported that station. Okay. And again, I can go in here and I can filter this down and say I wanted to see Indiana. There's Indiana. Whoa, 1190, big surprise. 57 total logs, 30 unique DXers have reported that. So if you're wanting to find what's the station that gets out the most in a state, there you go. U.S. stations with high nighttime power. So I basically drew the line anything over 10,000 watts. And I said anything over 10,000 watts at night is high enough that people should be able to hear them pretty well. And then you can filter this down by state if you want to. So you can kind of say, okay, I'm targeting certain states. I want to be able to find those stations that get out in that state that are bigger, higher powered stations. And you'll see here the frequency, the call sign, the city state, day and night power. Have they been reported yet or not? And if so, how many DXers have reported them and how many total logs have been submitted from those DXers? So this will show you what stations kind of get out well, right? Which ones are out there with high nighttime power that you guys can take advantage of. So there you go. All right, next one on our list here is state stats. So breaking this down by state. So how many logs in each state? Well, our most log state's been New York with 2,022 total logs. 4,200 miles away was the furthest log for them. Pennsylvania next, Tennessee, Ohio, Texas, and so forth on down the list. And you'll see again, we have our filters. The percentage of stations heard in each state. So again, taking that data from Mesa Mike, you can go in here and you can see we've heard 78% of all the stations in the U.S. that are licensed. And you can see, you can hover over a state and see, okay, for Missouri, we're at 84.68%, 78% from Arkansas, 86% from Louisiana, and so forth. So you can see where are the ones that we really kind of covered the most, where are the ones that we need a little work on, like Hawaii and Alaska. Come on, guys, get on it. The percentage of stations reported by states, we take that same data, and now I'm giving you the breakdown. So you'll see here how many total stations are there, how many stations have been reported, what's the overall percentage of those that have been reported. We've got quite a few more of these left to get there. I told you this was a big list. Country stats. Same premise that we just looked at with states, but now we're doing it by country. So if you're chasing DX, I got you covered. You'll see here Canada, Mexico, and Cuba obviously are big three outside of the U.S., and then Colombia, Bahamas, Bonaire, and everything kind of down the line from there. How many logs, furthest reception for each one. Logs by country. Here's Central America. This is all of Central America. So there's Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, El Salvador. So you can kind of see how many stations have been logged in each of these little Central American countries. Here's South America. We've heard everything in South America our DXers have. So this will tell you where, like there's one Bolivian that has been reported. And trust me, I'm on it. I'm looking for it. Uruguay is there. Paraguay is there, right? So all these are there. Same thing. Here's Europe. Which countries have been reported during our frequency challenges from Europe? Now, we've had some European DXers join in, so that actually helps because it helps fill in the gaps for us so we kind of know where to look, right? And then here's Africa. Same premise. How many stations logged per country? There's Benin has been heard. Algeria's got a couple. Here's Egypt and so forth. Asia. We were just talking about Tim Trump in the Middle East. Here's Saudi Arabia, Oman, Iran. Here's China. You can kind of see where the stuff is being heard from. Where's the DX at? Says Africa. I got to change that. It's Australia, Oceania, New Zealand, and Australia there. So all those breaking down by country or by region, rather, what the logs per country are. Now we get into the Canadian stats. Same basic premise. What are the stations? What are the province? What are the most heard station in each province for Canada? So here's the Canadian logs. You can see all these different stations. CHHA in Toronto and 1610 is the most heard from Ontario. But if you're looking for, let's say, Quebec, I go to QC and I say, okay, what's the most heard station out of Quebec? It's 1280 CFMB, 31 total logs, 3,800 miles away was the furthest reception. Then CKGM on 690, 730 CKAC, and so forth. Then we get to province. Here's the breakdown by province. You can kind of see it's really kind of centered around over here on the East Coast, as you'd expect. It's a little bit thinner as we go further west. Most heard station in each province. So you can see very clearly who is the most heard station. If you're targeting that province, if you need Manitoba, if you need Saskatchewan, who are the stations that are the most commonly heard that you might be able to target. Okay. Same premise. We do that now with Mexico. So this is how you build your target list, guys. This is how you can say, I'm trying to hear stuff down in Mexico. I get these questions quite a bit. What are the stations I should be looking for in Mexico or Canada or Cuba or Dominican Republic or whatever? Well, we've got you covered. And this is all going to be here now. Same filters as always. Here's your most heard stations in Mexico. And all the stations are kind of ranked there. The breakdown by Mexican state. You guys have reported quite a few of them. So we got all those in here. There's a couple that we're still missing. And then the most heard station in each Mexican state. So you can see that. DX stats. I love this one. So that premise we just took of the top stations from Canada, the top from Mexico. Now we're going to apply that. Here's Cuba. Here are the top stations out of Cuba. So you can see what are the stations you should be going for out of Cuba. Colombia, since it's our next biggest country. Now we're going to show you all the ones from Colombia. Which ones get out the most? Which ones are being the most heard? And especially looking at that unique DXers column, the more unique DXers are reporting it, the more it gets out, right? So that's a good one to look at. Now we're going to do the same thing. Now we're going to say Central America, and you can filter this down by country. So I can say, I wanted you to see just Honduras. Where are the most heard stations out of Honduras? Well, there you go. You've got 550. There's 4 stations or 4 logs from one DXer, 910, couple logs. A DXer, right? So you've got all these different ones in here that you can try to target. But this breaks down all the Central American logs that have been submitted and how many people have heard them and how many times they've been heard and the further reception from each. Same premise, Caribbean. So now we're looking at Cuba, we're looking at Bonaire, we're looking at Haiti, we're looking at Dominican Republic. So I can go over here and you don't have to have the full name in. I'm just going to type in Dominican and here's all the stuff from Dominican Republic. 650 is a big one, 1430, 750, and so forth. Now we do the same thing with South America. Same thing, but Europe. Same thing, but Africa, Middle East, Asia, and Oceania. So same premise. You can use this to filter by station or by country. If you know the station name, you can filter that way as well, but probably by country is more likely. So that gives you your list. Frequency stats, super helpful for our frequency challenges. You can see what's been done before, right? So you can come in here and you can see our most heard frequency, your most logged frequency is 1240, and then kind of breaking down from there. How many states, how many countries, the most heard station on each frequency. So you can see if maybe you've heard them or not. The top 25 frequencies with the most logs by country outside of the US and Canada. So this is trying to say, where are you going to hear the DX from? What frequencies have the most DX logs available to you outside of US and Canadian stuff? Non-US and Canadian logs by frequency. So 531 Radio Algeria. That's a big one. Here's also Nicaragua, Dominican Republic. So you can kind of see the breakdown by frequency. Non-US and Canadian logs. What are you hearing? Like what's there? Percentage of stations logged per frequency from the US. So the same thing we looked at, the percentage of the states. This is same thing just by frequency. Graveyard stats. I know Rick's a big graveyard guy. A lot of you guys you got to get in there and get your hands dirty in the graveyard. We just did our graveyard challenge earlier this season. Well, here's all the graveyard specific stats. Just the graveyard logs. How many total unique stations? How many total logs? What's the furthest reception on the graveyard? Graveyard logs by state. Mileage records. So I flagged this one. So I flagged every single station and I said, okay, every station that's been logged in the graveyard, who's got the furthest distance on that station? And so I put them as the record holder for that station. And then we counted up all the records over here on the right. So you can see who has the most records. Okay. So you can see as an example right now, Dan Massey, 1230 KERV in Texas. Dan's got the record at 16 miles. Somebody go get that one and break that record. 16 miles is not a big distance, right? Graveyard logs by frequencies. You can see which ones produce. Distance stats. Same thing as we usually see here. So receptions by distance and miles. So our furthest reception, Stephanie's our record holder right now at 7,005 miles for Taiwan. Radio Taiwan International. You'll also see distance records. So every station that's been logged has a distance record. Who has heard the furthest reception of that of that station. And right now, John Johnson holds that record at 676 total distance records for the stations he has reported. Barry, Jacob also in there as well. So maybe you want to break a record for a particular station. You're like, I can get that one and get that one further than that. You can go after that, right? Seasonal stats and the audio locker are still coming, so I'll get to those later on. But this is available again. So how you get to this? dxchallenges.com. Go to resources up at the top. Click on resources, and then down here at the bottom, medium wave frequency challenge all season analysis. That'll take you right to it. And what I've been doing this week is I've been doing my DX on our frequencies that we've had, the 580 to 600. And I've had this on another tab. I'm bouncing back and forth, and I'm just searching this data, and I'm looking on my radio to see what I can hear, and I'm using this data to help me get some stations to target. So I am super, super excited to be able to share this with you guys. I think this is going to be really, really helpful for a lot of folks to be able to find stations to help fill those gaps in their logs. This is exactly what I've been wanting to do now for 5 years. Finally getting this put together. So hopefully this will help you all be able to find some targets. So if you're looking to expand your logbook and get out to new countries, new states, this is going to be able to help you find those targets. And if you think of something that we haven't covered, right, a data analysis pivot point or slice that we haven't covered that would be helpful for you, let me know, because I want to make sure we're trying to cover that as much as possible. I think we've got most of it tackled, most of the ways that we can kind of slice this. There's going to be some stuff we just can't do, just limitations on what we can do. And you're also, by the way, going to find some bad data. Let's put it that way. For instance, you're going to find stuff where like the same station has like 6 different names on it. Or you're going to find a station on the wrong frequency, or a station on the wrong, like the city is like 4 different ways. Sometimes it's all caps, sometimes it's misspelled, sometimes it's spelled right, like difference. I'm going through a cleanup project on all that stuff. The Canadian logs are all clean. I've got the Canadian logs done. I'm about to do Mexico next. And then we're going to start tackling the US stuff. And then after that, then we'll do everything else. But the Cuban stuff, I'm pretty sure is clean. I know Canada's 100% clean. Everything Canadian is good for right now. So there you go. So go bookmark this website. I would just recommend bookmarking dxchallenges.com /resources, and then down at the bottom, the data analysis, all seasons data analysis, and just bookmark this site, and you should be good to go. All right. There you go. This is happening because you guys have participated in these challenges. If it wasn't for you submitting 32,000 plus logs, we wouldn't have this data to use. So I hope this encourages you to do more, right? Submit more logs, participate even more. So the more data you submit, the more data we have, the more data we all get to use together. I also hope this will help you want to put more detail into like your programming notes. Also, maybe be really super careful when you're entering your logs that you're doing the right frequency and the right call letters and everything else. Please. The data cleanup's a big project. That's a big one. Especially, it's not so bad for the more recent years, like last 2 years. But those first couple years when we were on the Google form, it's the Wild West. Like everything is just wide open. So we'll get that data cleaned up. But hopefully this is something you guys can use. All right. I know we're about to announce our next frequency ranges here in a moment, actually. Speaking of, and I'm going to go ahead and hit publish on that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that out. We're going to announce our next frequency range. Now, our patrons, patreon.com/DXCentral, our patrons already know. They already got the heads up. Well done, Rick. You were probably using the tool because that's what I did. I went to the frequencies over here. I went to this frequency stats page right here. And I said, okay, let me go down here to percent of stations logged. And I hit this to sort it by percent. And I said, okay, what are my least covered frequencies? The ones with the lowest percentages. 1350. Okay, that's low. There's 1480. There's 1470. Well, those are near each other. Those are both towards the bottom. There we go. That's what we're going to choose. That's what I did. So you guys can do that too. If you're looking for frequencies to target for yourself and you want to help us get some stuff in the logbook, be ahead of the game. Be ready with your research. Ready to know what to look for. Rick says that was a wild guess. Well, you did a good job, man. That was a great guess. So we're going to be looking in here in the next hour at 1470 and 1480 to see what stations are available, what has been heard. We're going to use our data analysis tool. So what have we heard on 1470 and 1480? What's been logged and what's been reported? States, countries, stations, all that good stuff. But let's go ahead and get some of that DX going. Now, this DX session is brought to you by the National Radio Club, nationalradioclub.org. Head there and get your details on how to become a member. Now, I haven't forgot about our antenna conversation. We just want to get to that here in the next hour. We're going to do that this next hour. We're going to talk about the twisted pair. We're going to talk about our new transformer that we have right here. And our other new transformer that we have right here that I'm going to show you is shiny with the shoe goo. Thank you again, Jeff. Thank you for your shoe goo recommendation. Notorious. That is amazing stuff. Shoe goo. All right, let's check out 1470, and we're going to check out the new antenna. This is the vertical.
Purchasing medicine online, absolutely routine your health. Watch the safe online conference, to the right in website address. A public service message from the National Association of Popular Television.
Somebody's got some Whitney in there. We've got a Spanish station here on 1470.
This was
And really quick, let's just take a gander at 1480. Now, for comparison, this is our 35-foot long vertical whip, or vertical antenna. It's not a whip, it's a wire. Here's the mini whip. This mini whip is at 45 feet up in the air, and it's like that big, right? Here's what the mini whip sounds like. Pretty close. Pretty close. Some noise has shown up now on the mini whip. But not on the vertical. Check that out. Perfect timing. Mini whip. And these are separated by maybe 40 feet from each other horizontally. That's the mini whip. There's the low noise vertical. That's amazing. That's proof of concept right there. Isn't that right, Jeff? Oops, wrong one.
DX Central Live Top of the Hour Alert.
We're on 1470. We're looking for IDs here at the top of the hour. Our new challenge frequencies, 1470 and 1480. The challenge page is live, so here at the top of the hour, we are rolling. And we say goodbye to 580, 600, and hello, 1470 and 1480. We're going to go ahead and mute the mic, and whenever you hear the little sound here, that means we identified a station that's in there, and we'll talk about it after the top of the hour. Here we go. And Mike, yeah, you are correct. I've noticed that on that vertical. Louder signals, less noise.
By day, so they can study cybersecurity at night. For over 75 years, we've been helping students receive the credit they deserve. With more than than 135 degrees and certificates, students at UMGC use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's, and graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. At UMGC, you'll find everything from online to hybrid courses and lifetime career services with scholarship opportunities, making your education journey flexible, fast, and affordable. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Shed.
Thanks, Julie. And coming up next, is there rain in your weekend forecast? We'll find out.
Hey.
Hi.
It's been a while. Great place and nice neighborhood. You must have a strong community association board.
Thanks. I guess so, but I don't pay any attention to that stuff.
Seriously? How do you know for sure the board and community manager are making the right decisions to protect your investment?
Thành một cái tên luôn. Và như là Nam Dương cũng vừa mới giới thiệu, đây là lối sống không đàn ông, trở thành một cái tên rất là more sober và đang lan rộng ở châu Á. Ồ, mà Nam Dương có chắc là lan rộng chỉ ở châu Á hay không? Hay là ở nước Mỹ này nữa?
Ở đâu cũng có hết trơn á, nhưng mà bây giờ ở bên Á Châu người ta nhắc tới nhiều hơn. Rồi bây giờ trước khi mà bước vô cái hiện tượng này, cái lối sống này, thì xin được chia sẻ một cái câu chuyện Dung ha, để cho thấy nó đang diễn ra ở đâu nè. Thưa quý khán giả, đơn cử như một cô gái ở Singapore. Nhiều năm nay, cô Candice 30 tuổi có thể đi du lịch tới bất cứ đâu mà cô muốn, và cô cảm thấy là hẹn hò kết hôn không.
All right, let me go ahead and mute our audio here on the Kiwi. So 2 stations for sure in there, KLCL and 1470 out of Lake Charles. We heard the top of the hour ID from them right into Town Hall News. And then that one there on 1480 KNGO out of Dallas, Texas with the Vietnamese programming. So those are 2 stations we know for sure we got in there. There's a couple others we'll be chasing this week. Real quick, while we are at it, I did want to share here a couple of things that we want to make sure you know about the new challenge page format here with the new dashboard. So number one, the data. So when you submit a log, it's not going to update automatically. Like, as you can see here, there's one log shown, and it's actually not even a real log. I got to go take that one out. I've submitted 2 logs now to the page, so there should be 2. It refreshes every 15 minutes, right? So it may be a minute after you submit your log. It may be 15 minutes after you submit your log, but it's going to be every 15 minutes that the data refreshes. That's the quickest refresh rate that I could possibly get. I couldn't get anything quicker on this tool to use. So if you don't see your log right away, just give it about 15, 20 minutes and you should see it pop up. And if not, then resubmit. But if it should be there after about 15 minutes or so. Also here on our country list, I've added some more countries. All of Central America is now there. Some commonly heard South American countries are there as well. Also on the state province list, if you scroll all the way towards the bottom, you're going to see all of the Mexican states are now here. So instead of just marking Mexico as DX, please go ahead and put in the actual Mexican state. So we're now tracking that with our new data analysis project. I went in and I filled that in manually. Oh, that was a project to go in there and manually put in and do lookups and everything else, and then clean up to do all the Mexican states off our existing Mexican logs. So I just want to keep that rig rolling. We've also added the air check section here as well. If you grab an air check with an ID in there, it needs to be an ID. It needs to be something that identifies what the station is, because the reason that we're having this is as an audio locker so that you guys can pull that station up. We're going to have it on a page of nothing but just audio clips with tied to the station, so you can say, okay, I want to hear what KSTP's ID sounds like. Well, there will be the audio locker clip for it. So it needs to be something identifiable that someone could use to help them identify the station that way. Those are, I think, the big things that I've added here to the sheet. Again, every 15 minutes it'll refresh. And I think that's everything. We got all this stuff in here. I'm just going to take that one log out. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the new vertical antenna. And we're also going to talk about the work I'll be doing this weekend on our shortwave central Kiwi. We're going to do some upgrades to the shortwave central Kiwi and that big Latin American DX antenna ahead of possibly some more solar storms heading this way. So we'll touch on that briefly, but we're going to talk about the upgrades we're about to do. And we got to look at some target frequencies, and we got a whole bunch of shout outs to get to. So don't go anywhere, my friends. More DX Central Live is heading your way right after this.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
Some DX? I said, are you ready for some DX? Well, I'm ready for some DX. Let's see what Loyd has in store for us. Here we go. In the glow of the screen, it's a Friday night. Loyd's on the North Shore, setting frequencies right. AM and FM, the airwaves collide. DX Central Live, where the signals abide. Radio's on, the chatters all agree. On DX Central Live, it's the place to be.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Loyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana, every Friday night at 0045 UTC. That's 1845 Central Time. Let me just back off and let this melt in my face here. And we've got live DX tips and conversation, chat, shout outs, all kinds of good stuff. Challenges, weekly challenge. We just launched a new one. We just launched a brand new challenge. 1470 and 1480 are our new challenge frequencies. So go forth and have fun. Let me do. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for this. I did want to mention our good friend Justin up in Minnesota, UB Studios, has a live stream. He was doing a live stream for a while on usually on Saturdays, and he had pulled back for a bit. He's actually just recently started that back up again. This last week, he did a live stream on Saturday night and Tuesday last week as well. And I think he's going to be doing pretty regular Saturday night live streams for at least for a little while. So you definitely want to make sure, obviously, if you guys are here, you're probably subscribed. I hope so. You're subscribed to the channel here on YouTube and whatnot. Give Justin a subscribe as well and hit the bell icon so be notified when he goes live, because he has a really great live stream and he's got a completely different look to the band than what I have down here in Louisiana. He's north of me up in Minnesota, so he's going to see things a little bit different than what I see down here, right? So a little more domestic and Canadian, a little less Latin America, but he still gets Latin American stuff up there too. So definitely check out. His name is UB Studios. I'll drop the link here in the chat. That way you guys can go check him out when he does his live streams. I want to make sure we give him a plug because he is he's a good friend of the channel and he's got a great live stream. And it's always interesting to hear the DX from up in his neck of the woods. I know him and Jacob both up in Minnesota, and Todd. You guys hear a completely different band than what we get down here. So shout out time.
Shout out loud, hear the call for every single big or small, from AM to FM to C to C. We celebrate the ones who slag your IT. Shout out loud, let it be known, you're never DXing all alone. Through the static we found our way. Shout outs making waves today.
Rick says he has a great theme song. Yes, he does. I like that theme song. I like that one. Our first shout out here in round 2 goes to our friend Stephanie out in the desert of California. Finally, something new to contribute from the Radio Hacienda, she says. New log from the 1126 recording XEC CBS in Fresnillo, Zacatecas, Mexico, 701 UTC on 610 kilohertz. Underneath the partially nulled KEAR with numerous La Que Buena mentions by a male. I'm assuming that's how they probably sound. I think I've heard that station. I can't remember if I have or not. Listed at 1 kilowatt nights, but more than likely on day power of 10 kilowatts at 1,095 miles. That's Zacatecas number 3 and Mexico number 64 for our friend Stephanie. She also sends along another highlight from the 1126 recording, a new log on 0900 UTC on 600 kilohertz, CKSP, Vancouver, British Columbia. Underneath KROD's top of the hour ID with steady stream of Punjabi music. 20 kilowatt nights at 1,113 miles. That's 23 out of Canada from the desert for Stephanie. So we got us awesome logs for our friend Stephanie. Yeah. And oh, sorry, I got carried away there. Well done, Stephanie. Always good when you can pull a new one out. I mentioned it before, I think a couple weeks ago. It's always great when people are able to add new ones to the logbook, but when our folks out west do it, especially once they've reached kind of a certain threshold, it gets really tough to get new stuff in the logbook out there. It gets really, really tough. They don't have the density of stations that the East Coast has, right? So they're digging deep to get those new stuff, those new stations in the log. Once you've kind of got to that certain point out there, it's like, I think I've got everything I can get. So, but just by the time you think that, another one shows up. Aiden in Michigan. So I was listening to 1140 earlier while conditions were favoring the Northwest and heard country. I was using AMDXer to see Northwest stations that played country and found KXRB Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I didn't have South Dakota, so I thought maybe this time I can finally get South Dakota. I went to the stream and the song matched. I heard a very faint ID for 100.1 that'll be heard in the clip that we have here, which leads me to believe I got a new state. Also today, I got WMEQ Menominee. I know how to do that pronunciation because I hear them all the time on eSkip. 880 and WLBL Auburndale on 930, which means 2 more Wisconsin stations, bringing up the total to 13 for Wisconsin. Also got KLIF 570 out of Dallas earlier this morning. Now the only states I need east of the Rockies are Rhode Island and the upper New England states, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. So I had those guys in New Jersey and Delaware for me. So, Aiden, where do we start? We got the new Wisconsin log for one thing. Hey, Sean. And that's a new U.S. state. And somebody said log. I'll have to go back, Stuart, and look. I've gotten quite a bit up there in that neck of the woods, so I'll have to go back and pull it and look and see. But there's been quite a few Menominees making their way up this way. Michigan, Wisconsin, that's a pretty common path here during the summertime. Here's that clip from Aiden as well. Let's go ahead and pull this up here. We're going to download the file. By the way, I did have to make a change on our entry form for the air check when you upload a shout out. Same thing as the entry form for the frequency challenge. Only MP3s and one at a time. My servers don't like the other file formats, so MP3 only for right now. So here's the clip. There you go. Man, I love that DX286. That's such a great little radio. Well done, my friend. We're going to give you an extra little... Charles Williams in California used the code Channel Canceler to cancel out 1650 KFOX in Torrance and heard KCNZ Cedar Falls, Iowa. Oops, I just realized I'm on the wrong input. There we go. Stuart, yeah, those are good. I think the max file size is 100 megabytes, maybe, which for an MP3 is pretty big. So they should be pretty small clips anyway. But 100 megabyte MP3, as long as it's MP3 and under 100 megabytes, I think it's fine. Well done, Charles. KCNZ Cedar Falls, all the way to California, and I think New U.S. State, really. I thought you'd have Iowa already, but KXCL or something like that. But hey, let's go ahead and I will do the fireworks for you, man. Do not think for a second I won't do some fireworks. I got an itchy trigger finger on that wick. Go. Our friend Barry Banks, Mr. Top Dog himself. Kudos Tim Trump for spreading the alert on. He's from Tennessee, by the way, for those of you who are not familiar. For spreading the alert on the Slack channel last night about a rare and spectacular opening to the Middle East. I missed that one. I was doing show prep for the show. I missed it. After reviewing my overnight recordings, I saw a multitude of carriers from Iran, Kuwait, and Oman. The only audio I was able to dig out was from Iran on 1188 out of Tehran. The audio was weak and consisted of several men singing and was very short, but the offset was undoubtedly Iran. This is number 1 out of Iran for me. After much discussion with Tim Trump and Mark Pettifor, the Slack channel provided invaluable in nailing down this new country. Man, I tell you what. I'm going to have to go check my recordings from last night. I have my East Super Loop up right now. So we got the passport stamped for our friend Barry for a new country, Middle East. Not easy to do, man. And I'm going to get you that log in here, too. I mean, that's... There you go. Well done, Barry, my friend. Congratulations. And yes, the Slack channel for the win yet again. David Pete up in Maine. Conditions have been the last week or so. So I've been mostly going through recordings from the Aurora a couple of weeks ago. Good call. I have logged several new stations, mostly down the East Coast, as well as a few more Latin stations. Isn't that great, though, when you're in the mood to DX and the conditions are just, crap? You can still go back to your recordings in DX. I love that. I love SDRs. The best log probably being 690 Radio Veraguas. Veraguas? Santiago, Panama, for my second Panamanian station. Back almost 3 years ago, the very first time I watched DX Central, there was a talk of setting goals. Oh, man, you're going to get me all choked up here. One goal mentioned trying to log 5 stations on every non-X-band frequency. I've had that as a back burner goal for that time. While going through my recordings, I logged 1210 Radio Sancti Spiritus, Cuba, number 46. But more importantly, that was number 5 on 1210, which completes that goal for him. Man, I tell you what, when I see that, when I see other folks applying the analytical approach of DX, and seeing success with it like that, that just warms my heart, man. David's got a clip. This is, by the way, I don't think I mentioned David Pete Maine. David Maine. So we're talking about here.
Radio Veragua, 690 y 101.9 FM. La voz que te acompaña. Presenta. Levántate Panamá. Un compendio de los mejores éxitos de la música típica panameña para el hombre del campo y de la ciudad.
My goodness, that was loud. That was Panama, you guys. That was freaking Panama. How loud was that? That's unbelievable, man. Woo-hoo-hoo. Good Lord. Oh, that's pretty remarkable, man. I've heard 3 Panamanians in my life. 1 in Charleston and 3 here. One of those here was the one in Charleston too. And every one of them was down in the mud, and I had to use a stream to compare it to. They were never that loud. I mean, I get Colombians that loud here. That's Maine to Panama. Unbelievable. That's what I'm talking about, guys. And the goal thing, finding those goals and saying, I'm going to go get this many stations on these frequencies, or I want to add another country or add another state, or I want to, log something on every frequency at sunset or sunrise, or, a gray line, one of the two. Just looking through your log and finding those little gaps like that, and then saying, okay, where do I need to get those gaps plugged up and get more stuff in the logbook? That's how, when you find yourself stuck in a rut, and you find yourself DXing the same frequencies over and over and over and over and over and over, and you're like, how can I get anything more out of this? Those kinds of strategic little analytical approaches like that really can make a difference. Even things like, okay, have I done any sunset in springtime? Have I done any sunrise in springtime? Have I done anything in the summer? What have I done in the summer? Have I been all nighttime? Have I done any gray line stuff? That's going to probably look different than the rest of the year, right? Stuff like that. Kaz. King himself, Kaz. In Illinois. 930 WSFZ, Jackson, Mississippi, with WKBM canceled at 1600 CEST. That's Central Time, by the way, for all the cool kids. November 15th, BIN and FM call was heard. So our main man, Kaz. He has the antenna that gets it done. And I promise you, it does. If you've got, I was just telling someone on the Slack channel earlier today, if you've got the room for somewhere between 50 to 70 feet in horizontal distance, put yourself, and if you've got that amount of room, don't put a long wire up. It's not going to do you any good. That's what I used to do when I was younger. Just throw a random long wire out of your window into a tree, and DX off of that. Mm-mm. If you've got 50 feet to 70 feet in horizontal length, put you up a Kaz and watch the DX just pour in. I promise you, it's like nothing I ever thought I would ever be able to do. Super loops are also really, really good, but there's something about that Kaz antenna, man. That Kaz just gets it done. So well done to our friend Kaz. Adding a new one. Again, another one of those, when you get to his stature of logbooks, getting a new one, that's not easy. Mexico, Mike J. New Latin American station, 1420 XEF in Ciudad Juarez, Magia Digital. Probably butchering that one. New to air, 1330 XECSEZ in Zacatecas, Radio 1330. 1510 TGDX in Guatemala City, RCA La Señal con Benedición. And La Nueva Radio Ya, YNLD 600. So new Latin American stations all around for our friend Mike. And Kaz also says, by the way, he's using the code channel canceller. I'm just saying, there's a reason why these things work. There really is. Take care, Kaz. 73, my friend. Thank you. These things work, and they pull in the DX. And when you have an Airspy, which is a great SDR, and you have a Kaz antenna, which is an amazing antenna, and you got a code channel canceller, which is an amazing tool, and you can record and review and go back, how can you not pull in DX? It almost feels unfair, but it's totally fair. Well done to our friend Mike, Mexico Mike J. NS Norfolk says, what do we think about the DCAS? If you've got 120 to 140 feet of horizontal distance and you can do two vertical supports of about 20 feet or so, 22 feet, somewhere in there, by all means. Outstanding. Now, our friend Kaz in the chat, he mentioned he has two Kazes that are 60 feet in length. So they're like 20 by 60 or whatever he's got for his vertical. I forget the vertical, but he's got two 60-foot Kazes separated by about 20 feet in line. So he's got that 140 feet of length, but he's got two Kazes separated between each other by about 20 feet. And that narrows your beam width way down. So that's also another option to consider as well. So if you've got 140 feet, DCAS is great. Tim Trump gets amazing stuff with his DCAS. Maybe try that out. Maybe try the 260 separated by 20 feet. Try it out. See what it gets. All right, so that cleans us out of shout outs here. So you can send yours in still. dxchallenges.com/shout out. Get those in and we'll read those out here on the show. Now, only one log here to report this week. Not a lot of time for DX, unfortunately. But we did have a chance to do one little bit of DX. Now, it was actually last night, Mexico Mike J, when you reported the station on 1420, I was like, I don't think I've got them. I'm going to go try for them. And I tried for them. I didn't hear them, but I did hear BRD in Palmetto, Florida. That is number 1099 here in Mandeville. And I think number 104 out of Florida, if I remember right. But that is number 1099 here in Mandeville. So one more will hit 1100. There you go. All right. So we're about to talk about our antennas here. But before we do, I did want to mention, I just saw a mention of it in the chat in relation to somebody else, but I did want to mention here, our friends at Airspy are running their semi-annual sale. This is their big Black Friday sale. And so go to airspy.com. Let me actually take you through the click path here because some folks can't find it sometimes. So go to airspy.com and then go to purchase. And this first one here, ITAD, however you pronounce it. They have local stores here in the U.S., and so they actually ship their products from the U.S. So click on that one. They're on sale right now for an Airspy HF Plus Discovery, which is normally about $160. You can get one right now for $126. This is not a paid ad. This is Loyd telling you, I just bought another one. I just bought, at that price right there, I just bought another one. We're going to put it over at Mom's house. We're going to put a splitter on the Kiwi Kaz, and we're going to put one side of the splitter to the Kiwi. The other side's going to this Airspy, so I can do broadband recording on that amazing, amazing antenna. So I just bought another Airspy. That's how good this thing is. So this is not a paid promotion. This is Loyd just saying, seriously, $126 for one of the best SDRs money can buy. I know it can't do the entire band. Guess what? At $126, buy two. Buy two and you can cover the entire band. AM at least. You can cover a big chunk of FM too. At least 2 megahertz wide. All right, so that's going on right now. This is a Black Friday sale through the 4th. I want to say it's the 4th is when that ends, doesn't it? Yes, December 4th is when it ends. No code needed. It's just their Black Friday sale, 25% off. and they've already shipped it. It's already shipped. So U.S. orders, if you get in early enough, you get that shipping pretty quick. It's already on the way. Like I ordered it the day that the sale went on, and it's already on the way. So there you go. All right. I just want to make sure we got that one in there because those prices, you can't beat that. You can't beat that at all. Let's talk about this new antenna. So our new 35-foot low noise vertical antenna. We already had our mini whip up in the air, 45 feet. Again, the mini whip is about, I don't know, it's about that size right here. So it's about that tall, maybe a little bit thinner. And you have a coax plugged in the bottom of it, and I've hoisted it up at 45 feet in the air, and the coax comes down. That goes to a ground rod with a lightning arrestor, and then that lightning arrestor has another piece of coax that comes back to the shack, and that comes into a box in here, and then magic happens, right? And it's pretty low noise, especially on long wave, and the signal to noise ratio is really, really good on the mini whip. But I've been told that a 35-foot long vertical antenna for medium wave works even better and is even lower noise if you do it right. So I've been wanting to try it. So we went out last week. I had a second mini whip up in the air at 35 feet. It was up in a tree, so I already had my rope already hung over a branch, and some on the end of that rope was a carabiner. So I lowered that rope and that carabiner down and disconnected the mini whip. And then I went into my new vertical. So I measured out 35 feet with a tape measure, one of those big kind of open face tape measures. I measured out 35 feet, and I took a spool of wire, 14 gauge stranded THHN wire that you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever Ace has them. Wherever you buy your hardware, they usually have these spools, or you can get it cut for you. You can say, I want 35 feet. You might want to get to like 36, 37, just to be safe. But then I just stretched out the wire, and then I took and I made a little loop at the top of that and put some rope through that loop and then tied everything off. So I'd have a connection at the top, and I put a carabiner on the top of that rope, connect the two carabiners up, hoisted it up into the tree, stretch it out as long as it would go, and then went down at the bottom, and I have an electric fence post. It's on the plastic electric fence posts where you set the wire down on the little clips, and I took the vertical part and I wrapped it around one time around one of the clips at the very bottom, so it'd be nice and taut and vertical and straight all the way around straight. And that was my vertical antenna. And then we got that V3A high Z amplifier that we showed you guys last week. We zip tied that to my little plastic electric fence post and put a I don't think we actually, yeah, we did. We put a crimp-on terminal connector onto the wire from the vertical, the sky part of the antenna. And then we had a 12-gauge solid copper wire that we have coming off of the ground side of that amplifier going to a ground rod. It's actually a ground pipe. I mentioned this before. We don't have great ground here in the Southeast Louisiana region to use as grounding. So Jeff Imel had mentioned a chemical ground. And what you basically do is you take a roughly 1 inch diameter copper pipe. I use type L because it's a little thicker wall. And then I drove that into the ground. But first, before I did that, I smushed one end. So I cut it down to about I had to buy 5 feet. So I cut it down to 2 feet. I smushed one end down so it's closed, right? So it's closed off. And then I drilled holes about every, I don't know, foot or so, 6 inches, somewhere in there, 18 inches. And I did it kind of around a little bit and kind of staggered the holes a little bit. And what you're doing there, I didn't go too far up the pole, the pipe. I kind of kept it down towards the bottom because that's where this chemical part's going to come out into the ground, which is what you want. So drove that into the ground. And then I right now I've got a screw through one of those holes, a bolt with some washers and whatnot. And then I've got a crimp-on terminal connector on the other side of that ground wire, connected that to the bolt, tighten everything down, and that's my connection to ground right now. I'm going to eventually take that bolt off, and I'm going to actually wrap the wire around that copper pipe, clean off the copper pipe real good, obviously, wrap that wire around there, solder that on so I have a really good connection, clean that up and wrap that so it's nice and protected, and then have a connection to ground that way. But what we're doing is you take some salt, like table salt, rock salt, kosher salt, whatever, sea salt, whatever you have. You just buy a little container at the grocery store, and you pour that salt down in that copper pipe, and then you fill it up with water. And then it comes out of those holes, and then it seeps into the ground. And you just do that. You pour the salt in as you need to, right? If you see your salt's getting kind of low, you pour that in. But you water it every day. And what you're basically doing is you're getting that salt water into the ground right there around your ground rod. And yeah, it's going to corrode the copper, but it's not terrible. I mean, it's actually going to kind of help a little bit. But you're improving the ground conductivity there at the antenna. Now, Jacob mentioned if you're near a tree, be careful. Mine's a little further out from the tree, so we should be okay. But you're improving the ground conditions right there where your copper pipe is. And so you've got a better ground than you would if you didn't. Jeff said he used this when he was living in the desert and had great results with it. So we're just early on into our use of it. You saw earlier how low noise this thing is. Now there is another piece you have to do on this low noise vertical to make it complete. I'm running 75 ohm RG11 feed line from the amplifier all the way back to the shack. And there's a little bias T box that you can also get with it for like $15 that you plug in one side to your receiver, one side to the antenna, and goes out and everything. So you'll have that. But you'll also have to have a common mode choke. If you're running coax feed line, you're going to want a common mode choke on this thing. Because that's part of what helps keep it low noise. So I put that in last night, and man, it just made a huge difference. So that thing is singing now. Now there's still some like I said earlier, some generated noise that I just can't get rid of in my neighborhood, and that's what you got to live with, right? But it's less prone to that than some of my other antennas are. There's other antennas that I've checked out here, like last night and tonight, that were noisy because of the generated noise. The vertical, it was way down. So, you don't have to have that amplifier. It's a good idea to have that amplifier. It's about $100 out the door, shipped to you with the bias T from VE3 PSZ, I think is his call. And it's really good. I know our friend Barry Bankston uses a low noise vertical. He's got a 63 footer that he uses in his setup, and he's got it paired with a W6 LVP magnetic loop, and he does phasing with that for phasing purposes. I'm going to probably try to do the same thing with this vertical and my mini whip. Try it out, see how it goes. But so far, it's worked really, really well. I've been very impressed with it. So you've got your directional antennas when you're targeting that specific area. Like, I am only looking for South America because conditions are good at South America. I'm only looking for Latin America. I'm only looking northeast or southwest or whatever. That directional antenna. But there's sometimes when you don't want that. You want to just catch what's coming in kind of an omnidirectional type format. And so this can be a really great way to just capture whatever the strongest station is that's coming in and see what you get. And so I'm a big fan of the low noise vertical so far. And like I said, I've just had it for a very, very short amount of time. My little glass insulator fell. I've had it for a very short amount of time, but so far I'm a big, big fan. So that's my low noise vertical stuff. I'm going to make a video about it as well here as we go along. That'll show you guys some of the components and stuff. Also, another little antenna project that we're working on today with the day off from work. I use my opportunity here to build some transformers for this weekend. We're going to take our Kiwi CAS, the big shortwave central Kiwi with the Latin American magnet antenna, and we're going to take off the coax feed line, and we're going to replace it with this twisted pair. And the reason we're going to do that is we're trying to get rid of noise. As we talked about before, coax feed lines are great, but they're not great when it comes to noise because they have a third conductor in there that actually picks up noise and introduces it into your rig. So if you've got some common mode type noise in your area, it's going to pick it up. So you can do something like a common mode choke to get rid of that, or you can switch to this guy, this twisted pair. You can also use Cat 6 as well. And so what I'm basically going to do, show you the way this is going to work. And Jeff Immel, thank you for your guidance on this because this has been invaluable. We have this little guy right here. You can't really see it very well. This is a B and C connection right here on this end, and we take our twisted pair and we untwist a little bit of it, and we put one wire in this screw terminal and one wire in the other one, and then that's now connected, and we'll probably use some heat shrink tubing or something like that to give it a nice sturdy connection. And then now we have a B and C connection for our twin wire twisted pair. And I've also got an adapter to then plug that into my SO239 adapter that we have in our window panel, because we have one of those window pass-through panels. It's the feed line that basically, it's a flat line. You put your window down, it feeds it through. So we got that. So this is the transformer. Because we are now using 100 ohm twisted pair feed line instead of 50 ohm RG8X, our 16-to-1 transformer isn't the best match anymore, and we want the best match. So for this 100 ohm twisted pair, we're now going to use this. This is our, it's a 2.8 to 1 to go from 800 ohms down to 100 ohms. So 2.8 to 1. So I did on the high impedance side, 14 windings on, this is the high impedance. High impedance side, it's 14 windings. On the low impedance side, it's 5. Okay. And I did make a video. I was shooting video while I was doing this today. So we have from 800 down to 100 ohms. And so our twisted pair will go onto here. And so we'll be able to just kind of wrap this around. We can also get our crimp on like terminal connectors on here as well to put it on. And then on the other side, we'll have the B and C going to an SO239. And that is where this guy would come in play, actually. We can use this, but I think we're going to probably actually use this instead. This is another transformer, and this actually takes us from 100 ohms of our twisted pair feed line down to 50 ohms for our 50 ohm feed line. So we'll connect our twisted pair here, and then we have our regular SO239 jumper right here, and that goes in, and that's our little transformer down from 100 down to 50 ohms. I want to show you the insides here of the transformer. That sheen, that is shoe goo. A nice little tip that we picked up from Jeff as well, to basically waterproof all of our connections here, all of our solder joints, everything that we've put in here, protect these components from rust and things like that. Because let's face it, it's Southeast Louisiana. It's humid. There's going to be corrosion. This gives us a fighting chance to get ahead of that, so we're not having to replace this like every season or something like that. So this will be possibly in the shack, maybe. I don't know. I haven't decided where we're going to put this yet. But this is going to be in line. This is going to be out at the antenna itself. This is the transformer. And then the twisted pair comes off of that. It comes into the house. And then boom. And so what we're basically trying to do here is we're trying to remove noise from our big South American, Central American magnet antenna. We're trying to reduce the noise as much as we possibly can. If this works well, then I'm going to do the exact same thing here at our house. So our DX Central Kiwi, our Super Loop, and our other CASs will employ the same practice. Now, I'm probably going to switch, instead of the twisted pair here, the single twisted pair, I'm probably going to use Cat 6, more than likely. But that's still to be decided. There's some more kind of like figuring out I need to do with how we're going to do that, because we have a Vactrol on one side and the transformer on the other, and just we have to figure some stuff out. So that's going to be our first step. But this one, we don't have a Vactrol on the Kiwi, the shortwave Central Kiwi. It's just a variable resistor that I hand tune whenever I put it in place. And so we can easily put this in place for this weekend. So that'll be the work we're doing. We're also putting a mini whip up in the air for Mom this weekend as well. She has a Kenwood R5000 shortwave receiver there at the house that we absolutely love. And right now it's sitting collecting dust, and we don't want that. We want that to be useful for her. So we're going to actually put the mini whip on the R5000. Eventually we'll probably put a splitter on there so she can use or a switch, so she can use that same antenna with either the Airspy or the R5000. So right now her Airspy has the W6 LVP loop. And then the other thing we're doing is, I mentioned we got that Airspy coming, new HF Plus Discovery. That's going to go on the Kiwi CAS, a big Kiwi CAS antenna. So we're going to have a splitter there running to both the Kiwi and the Airspy. And then that Airspy is going to go to a little mini PC. We'll just remote into that PC and be able to record. And then one final thing that I kind of thought of this weekend, I have it's one of those trombone slide FM omnidirectional antennas. It was the folded dipole from my 4-element Yagi. But now I've taken that off. I put a balun on there so we can connect it up. And now that is going to be an omnidirectional antenna. So we're going to actually string that up from a tree at her place and connect that to that same Airspy and probably a online receiver, like a little mini TEF receiver, the light ones. So we'll have another online receiver, and she's got some really tall trees in her backyard. So I think we can get that up really, really high. So lots of antenna work heading our way. About the time that I'm like, you know what? I've got all the antennas. I'm good. This is probably my last one I have to put up for a while. I just thought of like 4 more. There we go. There's never enough antennas, my friends. Never, ever enough antennas. There's always going to be more that you want to put up in the air, right? So there we go. So that's what we're going to be working on this weekend is putting the mini whip up, putting the CAS improvements for the feed line up, and seeing how it does. Let's get back to some DX. Before we do that, let's go ahead and take a quick look at our challenge frequencies. See, there's some of that noise. 1470 and 1480. And let's see what we can expect to hear. Let's go down here to, there we go. This is the one I want. Or is it? Boop. Nope, not that one. Where's my bottom screen? Well, if you guys don't mind it being red. It's not red. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. So this is 1470. So these two are regional frequencies. So there's going to be a lot of regionality to this, obviously, right? There's not like one dominant station that sticks out for all of the East Coast and things like that. But there are some stations we can kind of work off of here. So this is 1480. Let's look down south first for our friends who are chasing South America and Central America. Again, probably smaller stations down here. There is that's a 1 kilowatt. Never mind. We do have a Colombian here. It's 5 kilowatts on the northern coast of Colombia. And it's a possibility. I'm not even, 5 kilowatts is definitely possible, especially when conditions are right. These are smaller 1K. There's a 5K in Guatemala. Radio Horizontes. So that's a possibility for us to look for this week. Getting a little closer to home. Nothing in Cuba. There is a Puerto Rico station here that is 5 kilowatts. L1480, so that's an opportunity for you to take advantage of that one. We have a couple of Mexican stations here, La TKR Rancherita y Regional. We also have XECA RH, La Voz de Pueblo. Now, this is one of those indigenous stations down there that we love to shoot for. 5 kilowatts, that's actually a good possibility. We're going to try for that this week. Rock and Pop, 2 kilowatts out of Guadalajara here, XEZJ, that's another one we can try for. Closer to home, obviously, you guys know your band well enough and kind of what to expect. I don't have a lot. I mean, I've done some daytime listening over the last couple of days since I settled in on these frequencies. Nothing really here in the daytime, which is good. That means when we get to gray line, I'm not fighting anything super localized. I'm probably fighting like KLVL, KNGO, WABF, some of these that are kind of a little further away to try to get over here to the East Coast a bit more, Northeast. Which reminds me, with this transformer, I'm going to be getting my Northeast Southwest CAS up again here pretty soon. That Northeast antenna, it kicks butt. Looking here at 1470. Where are we at on time? 2:55. Looking down here on 1470. Again, smaller stations in South America, it looks like. Let me see, Colombia 5K, 5K, 5K. So some 5 kilowatt Colombians. There is a 5 kilowatt Panamanian. David, Maine, I'm looking at you, buddy. Probably one you can grab. Puerto Rico, definitely, I would say you have a shot here. 2.4 kilowatts, but still, Cumbre 1470 is probably within your reach. There is a 1 kilowatt here on the northern coast of Cuba. A couple of 1 kilowatt Dominican Republic stations. We have XEAI, which is probably one of the bigger ones that we'll see this week on 1470 Formula. XEBAL, Voz de Maya de Mexico. So I think this is another one of the indigenous stations, if I remember right. 2.5 kilowatts. XEACE, Another Formula 1 kilowatt, probably going to be a little tougher, but this one here, Mexico City 50 kilowatt XEAI is going to be pretty widely heard, I would imagine. And just like 1480, closer to the States, there's some stations that are going to be kind of regionalized. I know WMBD gets out very, very well. I know a lot of you folks in the Midwest kind of probably don't like that station very much because they do get out so well, and they get out well down here too. Trying to remember when I was on the East Coast, what was big. The MGG is pretty big down here in Egypt Lake. Thank God they got rid of their HD. Pompano Beach down here, WWNN. This is one I'll be targeting this week. So a couple things in there. And let me double check Canada. There's 50 kilowatters out of Vancouver on 1470. 1480. I don't see anything here. So mostly going to be what's near you on these two stations, these two frequencies for your region. All right. This DX session brought to you by the Spectrum Monitor, thespectrummonitor.com. Now, it's not an FM session. We're doing AM because right now we're in the dead zone. Let's be honest. We're in the dead zone for FM right now. Let's look down here at 1470 and see what we got coming in on the big Kaz. Oh, I got to hit refresh first because it's not rolling. There we go.
DX Central Live Top of the Hour Alert.
Go to 1480 so we don't get our hand slapped by copyright. Oh, did it cut out? Did I accidentally hit the mute button again? My bad. Here I was trying to prevent the Allman Brothers from giving me a copyright strike, and I probably just helped it. So I'm not sure how much of that you guys heard, but probably WABF out of Mobile is who we're looking at here, more than likely. That's if I had to guess. That's who this is. Other options. That's really about it. Maybe. No, I don't see anything here that would even come close. Not in my neck of the woods, at least. Even if they're on daytime, that wouldn't be good. Yeah, that's more than likely who that is. Is WABF out of Mobile. So if you are on 1470 right now, or 1480 rather, and you're hearing the Allman Brothers, you might have Mobile. They're 5 kilowatt a day, 4.4 at night. And it's just a couple hours away, so I'm not surprised they're this loud, even if they're on night power. Yeah, not Memphis. Definitely not Memphis. So probably Mobile, if I had to guess. Here after this DX session is over, we're going to show you guys a preview of the work we're doing on our new logbook. Very excited. I'm actually doing a whole website just for North Shore Studios. It's going to have photos, video virtual tours of the shack, Studio A, Studio B, the antenna farm. Again, I'm trying not to get a copyright strike here. Our logbooks will be there. Here we go. I thought they were fading it out. I thought they were doing that on purpose. That was the ionosphere playing a joke on me. But yeah, we're going to show you a preview of the work we're doing on our logbook. And I've also got a hot tip for people looking for Dominican Republic. I've got a hot tip for you for a station that you should try to hear. But we're going to get to that here after this DX session is over. Once we get an ID out of the station, what I'm assuming is Mobile, we'll do those two things. Yes, it is. It's a fun one to play live when you're in a band. This could be Mexico. That's the other thing. This could be Mexico. This is a stream match on Mobile. I guess I could have done that. I always forget about that while I'm doing the stream. When I'm DXing, it's right there. 1480. That's definitely a unique thing. I don't want to be on your mailing list. Yep. That's WABF Mobile. I really wanted that ID, but they must not have one right there in that part of their automation lined up. Maybe they'll be the next one here. Let's go ahead and take a look at, like I said a few moments ago, we're going to take a look at a preview of our new logbook that we're working on here for DX Central. And for all the work that my personal logs, and my FM will eventually be in this, my long wave, my weather DX, and then I'm also going to retroactively do it to my Brasstown logs, my Greer logs, my Charleston logs, everything. And then I'm going to make a big like lifetime log, so it's all going to pour in and be one big data house for me for all my logs. So let's pull this here. And go into I think this is pretty cool. So it's the same basic thing that we're looking at here with our weekly challenge logs, but I like a little bit different. A little bit different look for me personally. I know some folks don't like the black background with the white text. I do. I love it. So I try to keep away from that for like the channel stuff for our challenges to make it easier for everybody to read, especially on like a mobile device and stuff. But I love like all my software is in dark theme. I just love it. Let's go in here and go to, here's my heat map. I think I put this. Yeah, this is where all the US stuff that I've heard so far. So this is the opposite. So the one we showed earlier for the all season analysis is like the extra locations. This is for me, since it's all one location. This is what I've heard. Like this is all the stuff that I've heard. Really kind of shows you the spread, right, of how far a lot of this stuff goes out. We're doing seasonal stats, so this is breaking down by DX season and by month. So this is what I was talking about earlier when we're talking about like, okay, have I done any sunset DX in August? No, I have not. Well, that's probably something I want to get on this year. I've done some nighttime DX in August, but I haven't done anything gray line in August at all. That's a big glaring hole that I need to take care of. I haven't done anything sunrise in July. Those are the two main areas that I see for gray line that I haven't even touched. And I've done a little bit here in April and May and June a little bit. But I'd probably like to do some more. And September, look at September, sunrise DX, hardly any. Now I've done a little bit of sunset, but hardly any sunrise. So I got some work to do there. And then even June, July and nighttime, I mean, those aren't great numbers, 9 and 5. That's definitely some work that I can do to get those better. Some of the states that I've heard at gray line, so sunrise, sunset, and how many logs in each one. By time of day, obviously nighttime is always going to be the bigger one, but kind of getting a sense of like how prevalent these other ones are. Countries that I've heard during gray line. Here's my daytime only reception, so a little heat map of just the stuff from the daytime. radios and antennas. So this is also another kind of cool thing is what combination's been bringing the DX in? Well, the Perseus is always going to be probably one of the top dogs for at least for a while because I've done so much on it, right? So that's always going to be kind of like a premier one, but this is by DX season and radio. Then I've got antenna over here. Look at all the different, I didn't realize how many different antenna combinations I have tried out here in 5 years, almost 4 years, I guess, a little over 4 years. In 4 years, look how many antenna combinations I've done. I think it's 37 or more, maybe a little bit more than that. I think maybe. The W6 LVP loop is the winner right now because I did so much in that first month. But then you start looking like the Northeast CAS really kicked butt. There's a lot of stations to my Northeast though. That's going right into the heart of the East Coast, like congregation of stations. South, North, Northwest, North, Southeast, with Southwest. So you start to see some trends here with some of these. And that's where you can really spell, okay, what directions are being good for me because I have so many directional antennas. Which countries or which antennas producing countries? Well, it's no secret. It's the south facing ones because that's where all the countries are. And that's the big one there. The Kiwi on the big CAS. 15 different countries logged on that antenna. My 150 degree south antenna, which hasn't been around very long, 10 countries on that one. That's doing really, really well. So, again, this one's still in progress. Here's where I've left off. So I've gotten those first 4 done, and now I'm working on the state one. So you can kind of see nothing's loading here because I'm still working on these. But I'm going to have some of the same stuff we do on the other one. One change out is instead of DX stats separately, I'm doing Louisiana stats. I'll have a thing about all the stations I've heard here in Louisiana and which ones are left and so forth. So yeah, that's going to be the personal log. And again, this is going to be my AM log. My FM log is going to have the same format. Then we're going to have our Charleston logbooks, our Brasstown logbooks, Greenville logbooks. Everything's going to be in here. And then we'll have one that's everything. So I started working on the website today for the North Shore Studios site, just the front landing page. We're going to have photos of studios in there. We're going to have all of our logbooks in there. Our antenna farm is going to be in there. Yeah, it's going to be all kinds of stuff in there. So excited to have that one. All right, I leave you with one last thing that we're going to talk about here, and that's a little tip, a hot tip that I promised I would share for you guys. Our friends in the Slack channel brought this one out, so I have to give them credit because, as we like to say around here, it came from the Slack, right? Where did I put that? There it is.
It came from the Slack. It came from the Slack. It came from the Slack. That's where you'll find it, y'all. It came from the Slack. The X is sharing tips now. It came from the Slack. And they're all your clips, yeah. It came from the Slack. What they talking about, Loyd?
Oh, we got some stuff. Our friend David Pete checking in his view for tonight's show. Oh man, I love a good fire. Campfire. Let me be clear. Love a good campfire. That's his view for us for tonight. So we talk about some of the cool stuff that the Slack channel folks kind of share. Let's see. I have Barry's radio air check from Tehran here, from Tehran, Iran. He had a very, very short window there that he looped in there. Let's see. I know I'm looking for sad. So this is a radio station down in the Dominican Republic. It's on 590. So some folks were hearing it this week. Radio Santa Maria. And the reason I bring this up is because they have a very distinct bit of audio. We talked about those unique sounds of Latin America, those things you can use to help you identify a station. This station has it. If you're a shortwave DXer, spent some time DXing shortwave back in the day, especially, you know all about interval signals, right? That little sound that comes up before the broadcast begins as they warm up the transformer and get everything operational. And they have this interval signal that's basically an alert to say, someone's about to broadcast here. Someone's about to be on this frequency. You may want to stop what you're doing and listen, right? Well, Radio Santa Maria has that. And it plays at around 0900 UTC. And it is very, very distinct. So I'm going to first play you an audio clip here from our friend Mark Pettifor in Northern Indiana, because he had a very, very clear reception of it on, let's see, he said it came in a couple of different times, November 10th through the 11th, the 12th and 13th, from which this clip is here from the 12th, 13th time frame. And apparently that usually is followed by their national anthem, which also has been reported at 0200 UTC. So national anthem at 0200 UTC, and then at 0900 UTC, that little interval signal followed by their national anthem. Here's another clip from our friend Mesa Mike. This is Mesa Mike Westfall. The anthem. That you can, I don't want to get the copyright strike because they'll hit you on national anthems too. One more time on the interval signal though. There it goes. So that is something, especially our East Coast folks, I highly recommend you check your recordings. So that'd be about 4 a.m. Eastern time, Eastern Standard, 3 a.m. my time, Central Time. That's 1 a.m. Mountain and, 2 a.m. Mountain and 1 a.m. Pacific Time. So check your recordings. I've checked everything from November. I don't have it. I thought I might have had it in one recording here. I thought maybe it might have been in there. I feel like I I don't know if my ears are playing tricks on me, but I feel like it's there. One more time, headphones if you got them. This was a recording. This is from me on the 0900 UTC on the 25th. So that's, I think that, I don't know if my ears are playing tricks on me, but I think that's them. I'll keep looking. I'd like to get a little stronger recording of it if I can, than just like, I think it's there. I don't like putting, I think it's there in my logbook. That's just me. I like saying, yep, that was definitely them. So again, something for, especially for our East Coast folks, up into Minnesota, Michigan, your way, and even our West Coast folks a little further down south, give it a shot. You never know. Try to hear it, because that does stick out pretty well. As you kind of heard in those recordings. So that is Radio Santa Maria on 590 out of the country of the Dominican Republic. And then after that, they have their national anthem, which you can go look up on YouTube to hear what their national anthem sounds like and familiarize yourself with that to kind of know what to expect to hear. But yeah, give that a shot, because that little interval signal, man, that definitely cuts through. And again, that happens at 0900 UTC every day. So I usually start looking around 10, 15 seconds before the top of the hour, and I give myself about 2 minutes. If I haven't heard it by 2 minutes after, I don't think it's going to show up, because all the recordings that I've seen have been pretty close, right top of the hour, maybe about 30 seconds after, somewhere in there. But definitely give it a shot. See if you can hear them, see if you can pull them in, especially if we get another little bit of a burst of solar activity, which I'm hearing that the sunspots that were producing our big CMEs that we had here several weeks ago, and our big aurora that we had, and all of our big Latin American conditions, well, those sunspots went around to the back side of the sun. Well, that is now rotating back around towards the Earth here in the next week or so. And there was actually a rover on Mars, a NASA rover on Mars, that is looking at that backside of the sun from us, right? Because we're basically opposite Mars right now. The sun is between us and Mars, and he could actually see that sunspot, that big sunspot region. It's still there. And I saw a image of a time-lapse image of the sun, of these big, massive, just CME ejections off the backside, just going nuts over the last week or so. So it's still producing. It is definitely still producing. Will it hold up around the time that it comes back around to be Earth facing again? We'll see. But any antenna work you need to do to get yourself ready for southern conditions, familiarizing yourself with what's down there down south, this is the time to get that prep work done now, because maybe in the next week and a half, if that sunspot area comes and circles back around towards us again, we may have a shot at some good stuff. So get ready, friends. Get ready. And you can use our data analysis page now to help you with that. So, yay. All right. That's going to do it for this edition of DX Central Live. I think I did everything that I said I was going to do tonight, didn't I? The logbook. Yep. Got that. Oh, yeah. We did everything I said I would. That doesn't happen often. We usually have something that gets left off the list. For all of our patrons, thank you to our patrons, patreon.com/DX Central. Thank you so much to our executive producers, our associate producers, our producers. We appreciate you guys and all the support that you have given us here to the channel. We literally would not be able to do what we're doing without your continued support, because we just recently upgraded our servers for our websites. So we have a better, faster hosting package. And so, yeah, we're definitely in it now. So don't go leaving us. To our sponsors, National Radio Club, nationalradioclub.org, the International Radio Club America, IRCAonline.org, and the Spectrum Monitor, thespectrummonitor.com. For all of us here at DX Central, my friends, again, happy Thanksgiving to you all, belated. Have a great rest of your night. Great DX for this weekend, and hopefully some antenna projects maybe heading your way soon. Maybe let us know about it. We want to hear about what you're working on and what you're hearing. So write those down, get those logs in, get those shout outs in for next week, and we'll give you some shout outs on the show. Take care, my friends. Best of DX73. We'll see you next week on DX Central Live.
This has been the DX Central from the Static Podcast. If you are interested in sponsoring this podcast, let us know by emailing sponsors@fromthestatic.net. If you have a story to share for our Stories from the Static series, send those to our email address, stories@fromthestatic.net. Be sure to join us for our live DX live stream every Friday night at 23:45 UTC, 18:45 Central Time on our YouTube channel or at dxcentrallive.com.
The DX Central From the Static podcast is copyright 2025, Loyd Van Horn, DX Central. All rights reserved. No portion of this podcast may be rebroadcast or reused without the express, written authorization of Loyd Van Horn and DX Central. Be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, as new episodes will be posted regularly. Join us next time for the DX Central From the Static podcast.